Hi everybody, I'm Cassandra. Welcome to Toast Time. This week I am making Korovai, which is a Ukrainian wedding bread and decorated very fancy with a cornstarch flour dough. And so we'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm going to start by putting just some of the sugar, a little bit of the sugar, with the milk that I have warmed up. I don't want it to be too warm because I'm going to put the yeast in here, but I am going to let this sit for a second because it is pretty toasty. But that's fine. It'll cool off quickly. It's chilly in here. All right, I have that. And everything except for the butter goes into the mixing bowl with the flour. This stuff here I kept on this side of my microplaner because this is for the dough that we're going to decorate with. All right, so I have flour. The yeast is going to go in here in just a minute once it cools. I have salt, the rest of the sugar, and lemon zest. And when you're zesting citrus, you don't want to go too far into it because then you're going to get more into the rind than the peel, which is going to be more bitter. You want the top layer, which has more of the oils in it and is going to give you a nice, vibrant flavor of the citrus. And 2 eggs. The last thing going in here right now is going to be vanilla extract. And we can put, yeah, that's fine. We can put that yeast on top here now. That's it for a minute. I'm going to put this onto the mixer and then add in the yeast and milk mixture. Then after a couple of minutes, I'll start adding in the butter, a tablespoon at a time. The dough has been on the mixer for a couple of minutes and it has come together as a dough now. So I'm going to start adding in the butter a little bit at a time while it's going. The reason you want to do it a little bit at a time is because if you add all of it in at once, you're going to start getting it on the sides of the bowl and the dough isn't going to keep kneading. It's just going to kind of keep slipping around the edge of the bowl. All right. Start with that. Just have to be patient for this part. So this is very similar to a kind of a brioche because you do the same thing. You slowly add in the butter. There are 2 different techniques with a brioche. You can add it in as melted butter and then you let it sit until the butter cools, and that makes the dough a bit more solid. Or you can add in the softened butter like we're doing here. All right, we're almost there. But once all of this is added in, I'm going to let it run for about 5 minutes, kneading the dough, and then it goes into, there we go. Then it'll go into the glass bowl and very lightly grease, very, very lightly, until it doubles in size. So we're going to let it rise. I'm going to cover it with one of the shower caps and it'll double and we'll come back and do our shaping. I took the dough out and I put it on my board so that it can cool a little bit and firm up. And I'm going to divide this into 3 different pieces. So one is going to be for a ball in the middle. And I'm going to do about size a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to divide this into 1 larger piece and 1 smaller piece. These are going to be for the braids. All right, so I'm going to start with, I'm going to grab some flour, put it down, and this is going to be the ball. I'm just going to take it into a ball, put a little bit of flour on it so it will not stick. And I'm going to put that in the middle. This is lightly greased. It's a springform pan. I'm going to put this in the middle here. All right. Next, I'm going to do the large one. I'm going to divide it into 3 pieces. Trying to get them as even as possible. If you want to, of course, you can always weigh them. I'm going to go by eye here. And these are going to be turned into logs so they can be braided. Start that one. Here in this one. I'm going to sit for a couple of minutes. And I'm going to do the same thing with the smaller amount of dough. I'm going to divide that into 3. This is going to be the small braid. I'm just going to do a basic braid. I always start in the middle when I do these braids because then you can tuck the ends nicely. Right? And I'm pulling it a little bit as I do the braiding. And this way it'll have to fit around the whole outside, the perimeter of the pan. I want to make sure that there's enough of it. Okay, I'm leaving the ends undone right now. And I'm going to pick this up and set it in around the outside here. Okay. Good. And I wanted to check the size of this ball. I'm going to take it back out. And the braid, I'm going to keep pulling it around and finish up the braiding of it as it goes. And it needs to come together. I can show you. It needs to come together in the other side here. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing. Braid it. Keep pulling it as it goes. Leave it unfinished right there. Now, I am going to put this one back in and make it a little bit taller than it was, like that. Then I'm going to take this smaller braid and lay it slightly on top of the larger braid and around that middle point there, that circle. All right, and finish the braid off. It looks a little bit messy right now, but I think when it rises and bakes, it should probably get a little bit nicer shape there. Here's the ball, here's the small braid, and here's the larger braid. All right, I'm going to cover this up and it'll rise for another hour or so until it's about double. Now I'm going to prep the dough for the decorations. There's some flour, cornstarch, and Crisco shortening, like vegetable shortening. I'll put that in and start working it through with my fingers. I'm just pinching it and rubbing the Crisco into the flour mixture. Look like little pebbles in there. Just rub it all the way through there. And now you can see when I squeeze it, it's going to stick together better. So it's still crumbly. That is why we're going to add the water. A little bit at a time. Just keep working it together until the dough forms. And as always, be patient when adding the liquids to the dry, Sometimes it takes a minute for it to absorb or for it to come together. So need a little bit more, but it's definitely getting there. Now this dough, we're not trying to develop gluten. The kneading process isn't as important as just getting it mixed together as a dough. And then I have to be able to roll it out. So it's close, needs a little bit more water. Okay, great. Make sure everything is off the sides of the bowl. And that's it. That's our dough. I'm gonna work it a little bit more to make sure all the moisture is absorbed by the flour and the cornstarch. And then I think we're gonna be able to roll it out and cut our shapes. I'm not going to attempt the birds for this one because this is my first time making it. I'm gonna stick with the flower shapes and maybe a couple of butterflies because I have cookie cutters that shape, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna get my rolling pin. All right, I have a variety of things, some butterflies, 3 different types of flowers, kind of like a sun shape to it, and I'm putting them on my baking sheet right here. I'm gonna get all these on here and put the egg wash on them and throw them in the oven. My alarm just went off for the decorations. Ah, they're cute. All right, so here are these. You are supposed to take toothpicks at this point and poke them in while it's still warm. And that way you're able to poke it into the dough to decorate it. I'm going to give it a try here. I don't know if it's quite going to work because I didn't do them very thick, but I'll give it a try. Oh yeah. All right. So there's one. There you go. I put a little bit of sparkle glitter edible dust on it, on the stars and on the ones that look like suns, just for fun. One of the butterflies. He's so cute. Okay. One of the sun. Oh, that's really hot. The sun. You can see like the gold dust on it or not. Lower my temperature to 365. Egg wash. Okay. Put this in, and when we come back, we can decorate and taste test. It is out of the oven. I put the decorations on it, and granted, I need some more practice with the braiding and wrapping it in the springform pan, but that's the look of it. And yeah, let's try the decoration first. I'm just curious about this because it has the cornstarch in it. Let's try. It's kind of like a cracker. It's okay, but this is what I'm really interested in. All right, here we go. So it's split a little bit. Wow, it's still very, very hot. Ooh, not quite the texture I was expecting. Just feeling it actually kind of feels like angel food cake. It's pretty. A lot of steam coming off of that. All right, let's see. Okay. Okay, so the texture is cakey, but it's really good flavor. The vanilla is coming through, the lemon zest actually really brightens it up. And I mean, I'm a big fan of cake too, so I'm not going to complain that this bread is a little cakey. It's nice. I think it's wonderful for a special occasion. Again, this is typically for weddings, but I think for holidays and special occasions, it's a beautiful loaf to do, and you're going to feed a lot of people with this. It's a flavor that I recognize there, and I'm trying to place it. Tastes like something I know. All right, we just did a family taste test, and my son recognized what the flavor is. It's like lemon pound cake. Um, it absolutely is. Like if you know the pound cake from Starbucks, it's very similar to that. It has the nice brightness and that kind of pound cakey texture. So that was a perfect description. I just wanted to come back and let you guys know that. Anyway, it's very good. And I want to thank you for joining me for Toast Time. Please like, subscribe, follow, check out the website, toasttime.fun. And I will see you next Toast Time.